Vivien Mangalindan is a broadcast journalist on TV, radio, and online streaming broadcaster and international keynote speaker since 2001 in both English and Spanish. She is also a guest speaker in various TV, radio, live talk shows, and events across the globe. She offers presentations, facilitates workshops, panels, and groups, is a trainer, personal coach, improv performer, wow, and a newspaper columnist. On the spot, spontaneous conversation skills are essential to her job success, and she's going to share her secrets with us. Please welcome Vivien Magdalinden to the virtual lecture.
Yay. Thank you, Sue. Were you listening? The title of my little talk, and I never call it speech, is Spontaneous Conversations, because that's what happens every day of your life. Now, if you're comfortable, it would be nice to have your faces on screen, whether picture or video. Video is much more fun because it's about conversations. So let me ask you, I always tell people, life is not a prepared speech. And I will repeat it again for the second time once more, this time with feeling over and over again. Life is not a prepared speech. You're like, what? After we write, edit, memorize, deliver, well, that's very good for prepared speeches. But let me ask you, 24 hours a day. If you're lucky enough to sleep 8 hours, let's do the math. That's 16 hours that you're not asleep. Now, can someone please in this room impress me and tell me how often do you have a prepared speech that's 16 hours long? Please, raise your hand. Raise
5
your
to 7 minutes.
Imagine, okay? So 16 hours. You might be able to deliver a prepared speech, but the rest of the day, if you're talking to anyone, anywhere, anytime, well, guess what? Those are spontaneous conversations. Even when you go to the grocery, or even if you're at the bus stop. And the third one is really, even when you're with your mother-in-law. What prepared speech is good enough for any mother-in-law? And that includes me. No, nice try. So let me ask you, I have some questions here that I wrote because earlier people started texting me. So I asked people, we are all aware by now that in anything you say or do, 55% comes from your face. How many times did we hear it from our mom? Maybe my mom, okay? Vivien, fix your face. I don't like the way you look. Don't look at me like that. And I'm like, Mom, it's the only face I've got. So I wasn't aware that my emotions were showing. Did you ever get in trouble for having the wrong facial expression, especially at the workplace? Or if you have a significant other, you might hear this. What's your problem? Me? Moi? You? I don't have a problem. And your partner says, I know that face. Can you raise your hand? Has that ever happened to you that someone was able to read what was on your mind? Sandy's laughing. Oh yeah, Joe. Boy, can we talk about that? Well, you can have a great pickup line when someone says that. I don't like your face. Smile, look cute, take a deep breath, inhale, exhale, and say, I'm sorry. It's the only face I've got. diffuses all the tension. Okay, now, the second one, remember, huh? That was 55%. The second is voice tone. I am not talking about vocal variety. I'm talking about voice tone. Back to childhood. Did you ever hear this tone? And the dialogue went like this. Don't talk to me that way. I'm your mother. Don't talk to me that way. Again, back to, it's the only voice I've got. But in Toastmasters, you can change your face and you can change your tone. Agree, disagree. If you agree, raise hand. Did you learn to change? Boy, did you learn? Yes. And then can you believe for all that effort, sleepless nights of writing, Googling, and during our time, thesaurusing. You like that, huh? That's a Vivienism. Thesaurusing, the right word. It only counts for 7% of what you're saying during spontaneous conversations. Hmm? You think not? Well, most of us have worked at some point in time in our lives. On a Monday morning, let me ask you, what do you think the boss of the mood is when he walks into the room? Good morning, team. How do you feel when your boss starts with good morning, team? Look at that face. Hear that voice. And yet, many people think that being formal, being professional is like that. I have my humble opinion. 1, 2, 3 words. It is not. No, it's not. Why do you have to sound like a bully? Why? You're not gonna get anyone to want to listen to you. They will end up being physically present, but emotionally, and most of all, emotionally absent. Why? Because right away, they don't like you. They know it's gonna be a bad day when it starts like that. Now, let me ask you, have you ever figured out if you yourself, not the person you're talking to, would you say you're a visual person? Meaning you know what's happening before you start, before the meeting starts? Or are you an auditory person where you don't really look, but you're listening like, oh, he's getting angrier and angrier. Some people are able to monitor the mood of their boss. A little tip for you to figure out if you're visual or auditory, it's called a cell phone, a nice little gadget. You know, the one where people go, yeah, selfie, yes. You record yourself talking to anyone, anywhere, anytime. You're like, so watch it afterwards without listening. Just watch your face. Or better yet, share it with your friends and ask them, what do you think I was saying? What mood do you think I was in? The face says it all. Now, let me ask you to do something else with the same recording. Listen to the recording. Sorry, I have to laugh. Without watching yourself. A lot of people say, how do I sound like that? And everybody says, yeah. The only way to progress with spontaneous conversation so it becomes friendly and real is to make sure you don't have to be lovable, that you're at least likable. And people call this established rapport. Let me ask you so far, have you been able to think of any situation where what you said is not what people saw or heard? Yes? Oh boy, yeah. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. If you think I'm smart, it's because I made more bloopers than all of you at the same time. Mm-hmm. Now, I've news for you. If you were listening to Sue, who introduced me a while ago, she told you that I'm a live talk show host, a broadcaster. I have news for you. When you have Zoom meetings with people in the office, ah, you're in a live talk show. See, you weren't thinking. You're in a live talk show. So please, as my mother used to say, fix your face and don't talk to them in that tone. Now, again, when you're having, like here, meetings with people you don't know in real life, right? Your things are opening up and it's real life. And people say, wait, Vivien, come on, tell me about spontaneous conversations. What do I say? Let me ask you. I will ask you right now. Do you want me to tell you what to do and what to say? Or do you want me to tell you some deep, dark secrets? Because I host events, I go to a lot of parties. Would you want me to tell you what not to do and what not to say? Which do you prefer? Can someone tell me? Do you want the do or the don't? Anybody? Mic on?
Dude,
Mic on. How many people want the do's and some
lose.
do's? How many people want the don'ts? Okay, so we have some do's and some don'ts. Okay, the first thing about do is do make sure that you remember that it is not a time for you to advertise yourself, to brag about your credentials, and to recite all of your accomplishments. That is a sure way to never get invited to events again. In spontaneous conversations, I want you to think, do you think you're a bridge or do you think you're a wall? I will repeat. Stop and think, am I a bridge or am I a wall? In my social interactions, I have heard people say, I don't think so. I disagree, which is fine. But if it's a social event or you just met someone for the first time, why? Please, that falls under don'ts, okay? My point is look for something that you have in common. Does that make sense? And you find out what you have in common. How? By asking. You're like, but what do we ask? It is used in, I'm going to share it with you, investigative journalism. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to talk about investigative journalism. Ah, the ones who are very good, and all of you were like me at some point in time. It's these little creatures called 5-year-old kids. They're very good at saying, why? What's that for? How do you use that? So if you have to forget everything I said, you want to figure out now, it's all in your hands. Physically and literally, it's all in your hands. It's called who, what, why, when, where, how. And it builds bridges for the other person to share a part of themselves. Why? Ha! Do you know you can take a survey? Do you know what the favorite topic is of most human beings? The moment you ask who, what, why, when, where, how, their favorite topic is themselves. The problem is they say they don't know where to start. And when they start, they don't know where to end, and you can't get them to end. So be specific when you ask who. Don't say who is blah. You say, tell me one person who is blah. The power of one. You want to write all these things down. What? What is your favorite food? Oh, I have so many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My grandmother, my mother, my auntie, my dad. Oh my gosh. So you say, what is one of your many favorite foods? In the court, it's called leading. You ask leading questions. And that's what we do in talk shows, because talk shows are live and they're timed. And so are your meetings. Remember, from now on, you will remember every time you're in a meeting in Zoom, you're like, I'm in a talk show. But then again, remember, you are now equipped with these tips and tools from talk shows, okay, that you can use during meetings. So you're beginning to see this. It's called 5 W's and 1 H. Who, what, why, when, where, how. Let me ask you if you can raise hands. Is it easily doable? Who, what, why, when, where, how? Well, I should think it is because kids do it. And I have a note here from somebody a while ago. This person told me, you know, I call it the me syndrome. When you ask any who, what, why, when, where, how, they go into me. Fine. But what you can do is make it me and you when you're talking to somebody. Find a me topic because they want to know who you are, what you do, that you feel is going to connect with who and what they are. Question. People ask me, but I don't know who they are. And then my answer is, you ask who they are and why you're asking. Like I asked Linda a while ago, Linda, what do you do? Don't ask people what's your job. That's a very boring topic. They say, I am a salesperson. What do you sell? Why did you go into sales? Are these useful? It's ask like a child. Really, you'll be surprised. At my age, I'm 72. Listen to me, I talk like a child. But let me ask you, are my tips, tools, and techniques usable to you at all? Yes? Yes, try it. Okay, my question, which someone said here is, when you answer, talking about do's and don'ts, please, I beg of you, don't recite. There is something about reciting. Presentation mastery is great, but it's not for spontaneous conversations. Spontaneous conversations are the way kids, teenagers talk to each other. No recitation, you want conversation. So let me ask all of you, if there's anything you want to remember about spontaneous conversations, it is my tagline. Life is not a prepared speech. What is one trick you want to remember at all times? It's all in your hand. What is it? If you can put your hand up, you know it. Who, what, why, when, where, how. And again, because people have feelings and they read, 55% fix your face. 38% fix your tone of voice. And 7%, because it's only, seemingly only 7%, make sure you choose the right words. You want to be remembered for the right reasons. I hope you found this useful. My name is Vivien, and I shared with you spontaneous conversations. I will put my email in the chat. You want to
Thank
talk?
you. Thank you, Vivien. For people who are familiar with D84, we usually do evaluations, but you'll get something in the mail or in the email a little bit. We do have some time for some questions, about 5 minutes, if anybody has any specific questions or comments for Vivien.
You may ask. I'm used to people calling in. My talk show's live, so ask me anything. I'm very good at saying I don't know. That's another tip. Don't be afraid to say I don't know. Let me find out. And people find that so charming. So that's
And Vivien, for people who don't know you, where are you calling in from today?
sure. I'm halfway around the world. It's also 11:21 p.m. I'm in 7,100 islands somewhere in Asia. It's called Manila, Philippines. You're looking for great beaches, you know where to go. Call me. There. Yes. Any questions or any sharing you want?
When people guess your age, what number do they give you?
That's it. Okay, I'll make this cute for you. Joe, what number would you give me? Please don't say 82. So that's the way I answer people. When I just throw it back. But would you have a number in mind? No? That's okay. But that's a good way to answer. I'm 72.
I think Joe might have frozen.
Interesting. So someone ask me anything because I love doing this in my live talk shows. Yes? Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, anybody, Toastmasters and non-Toastmasters? Yes, Sandy.
Why are you in the Philippines?
Well, that's an interesting question. People ask me, that's an excellent question. They ask me, where are you originally from? Where were you born? I'm in the Philippines because I was born and raised here. Although I've been giving international keynote speeches since 2001. Not in Zoom, right? That's airplanes and hotels. I live here. However, if I kind of think and sound different, it's because I didn't go to a Philippine school. I attended an American international school, multicultural. So this is my happiness, talking to people from around the world. And most of them were Americans during our time. Thank you, Sandy. That explains why I'm here, but I get to travel a lot. So you want to be speakers because it's lots of fun. You travel free and you get paid when you're a professional speaker. And that is why you need, my answer is, when you give talks outside your country, remember you represent your country. You represent your country. And most of the time, I'm the only one from the Philippines. Secondly, no prepared speeches. Make sure you ask them questions. They're going to say, oh, she's so much fun. Yeah, because they like to talk about themselves. So I hope I answered you, Sandy. Any questions? Silly, wacky? They're fine with me.
Hi. My question is, what is your most embarrassing moment in public speaking?
I'll tell you that. Most embarrassing? It should have been, but I was so busy laughing at myself. Why? This was in 2003. No, 2001. I was in Bangkok, Thailand. Finished giving my speech, mostly about interpersonal skills. I was giving a talk on hospital management and communication, especially frontliners, ER, etc. What's embarrassing? Nothing to do with the hospital. It was the dinner that night after the talk. And they said, oh, we heard that almost all Filipinos sing. I said, yeah, I sing. And they said, great. So what do you want to sing? So people who are close to my age will know as time goes by from Casablanca. So I said, do they know? So Joe, you know where it's going. Said, as time goes by. And I knew it from their face. I knew it. Yes, of course. I said, that's your band. It was a live band. If it was karaoke, fine. Donna, you're going to love this. I said, do they know? the local MC said, of course they know. They know anything and everything. I said, can they start? He looks at the band. The band looks at him. I knew I was in big trouble. And then the very good MC, good at impromptu, said, Vivien, why don't you start singing and they'll follow? Can you imagine? I had no idea that there is a rock song, like hard rock, called As Time Goes By. So feel free to laugh with your mic on. Can you imagine me trying my best to be my normal self? You must remember this. A kiss is still a kiss. And then there's a jong, jong. I'm like, well, I think it was more embarrassing for them because I laughed. I laughed at myself. And again, be quick with your pickup lines. And my answer was this. I said, oh, your band is great, but I think their guitars need some tuning. And the piano too. And everybody just laughed. So